So, hey guys, this time we're going to build this from scratch, okay? So this is an application using Flask, Angular 8 and MySQL. So let's see how this works. Let's create a second post. This is the second post. You can choose a file, an image, okay? And let's try this one because this one I know is pretty small. Let's click submit. It's going to give us a little message, and you can see we have the post here with the content, with the cover. We can edit the post. Okay, second post updated. I think I didn't add the redirections, but let's see. Submit. Okay, I didn't add the redirections, but you can add it later. So let's click here, and you can see the post is updated. Okay, so there are some little things you can add, but this is mostly about Flask. Okay, so I'm gonna divide this tutorial in two parts. First, the API with Flask, and later we're going to handle this with Angular. Okay, Angular 8. So it's pretty similar to Angular 7. It's almost the same except for the routes. So okay, let's start. Okay, let me close this. I'm gonna close this also. Just go ahead and create a new folder. Let's click in this folder. Also is using MySQL, so you need WAMP installed. So let's create our new shell, pip env shell. Okay, so it's going to create that, and okay, I close that. You will need to go to Firebase, okay, and create a new application that is needed in order to handle the uploads. Okay, so this is working. Okay, let me close all this crap that I have. That is my server, my Flask server, and the other one. Okay, so let's say exit. Okay, we can close the console. So go to console, and the other one is Angular. So let's close that. Okay, so I just created this one. This one is for the tools. This one is the one I was working on. Okay, the one you saw. So create a new one. Let's go into the application. You will need right now just to add your storage. Let's say begin, next. Yeah, sure. So our environment is almost done, I guess. That shouldn't take that long. And yep, that is already done. It's creating the pip file, and it's done. Okay, so you can see it's done. We have several things working on. I'm not sure if Firebase is having problems because okay, it denied me I wasn't able to create a new project, but now we have our storage. So just leave that hanging there, and we can even close this and focus on this. We already have the pip file, and we have the environment running. So what we're going to do now is create a new folder, new file. That is our app.py, and we're going to start. Sorry, you are going to install something. Pip install. That you guessed is Flask. We need to start Flask, and Okay, just wait for that to be installed. And we are going to open this one. Okay, so that is installing. And let me just move this and okay. So we're going to fix, I mean, we're going to create the API in a second. Let's just wait for this to install. Okay. So let's start first. Let me move that. Or let me just fix something in my other screen, just moving things around just to see the project. And okay, as I said, we're going to use WAMP, okay, MySQL. So let's start with the API. So in case you don't have WAMP, install Python, create the Firebase project, okay, add your storage, and that will be it. Okay, now we can start with the code. So let's say from Flask, right now I'm going to add everything here, and on the next tutorial, that is going to be Flask and MongoDB, we're going to generate our routes in a different file, okay, and add them to this main file. So just for this project, okay, we are going to keep everything inside this file that is app.py. So from Flask, we need to import Flask, that is with a capital F, sorry. Also, we will need to import something that is JSON, okay. This is different from JSONify that we also need to import here. Let's import all that we need. We need the request because we will need to handle requests, okay, from Angular. And we need JSONify because JSONify is going to allow us to have or to send JSON response, okay. So right now we're going to leave this one for Flask MySQL. We're going to add that in a second, okay. I misspelled that, okay. Flask MySQL DB. We're not going to use Alchemy or that or other things. We're going to work it raw with MySQL. So, okay, we need to import something. We need to add something just to make sure we have everything in the API. So let's go to Flask course. We will need to handle the course. So we will get all shit done with the API, okay, before we move to Angular. Okay, so this is how you install it. So let's skip this one. Pip env install. Remember that you need to install all your dependencies in the inside your environment. So it's Flask course. So let's install that. Okay. Once it's running, it shouldn't take that long. So let's keep moving. It's already installed. Well, it's installing. Okay, and that's done. So let's import that. Import Flask course. No, sorry, this is not import from Flask course. We import course, okay, just like that. So this will allow us to handle requests and to allow the front end to access our backend. That is this one, Flask. We need to import our OS, okay, and we're going to import the UUID from Flask, okay, because we will need to generate an ID for the images in order to be stored, okay. So this is going to be a little tricky, but with UUID it's going to be easier to manage the naming of the file. So we're going to do something else that is from, let me get this one, worksuck. We're going to get the utils and we're going to import the secure file name. This will allow us to create, as it says, a secure file name in order to be used with Flask and our database. And let's skip this one because we are not going to add it yet. Import Firebase. Okay. Those two are kind of important, so we're going to give them the time they need. Okay, later. So yeah, let's continue with how I got. So we will need to create something. In order to manage our files, we will need to create a kind of temporal folder. Okay, let's call it upload, upload, no, or local uploads, or temporal, upload temp. Let's add temp, sorry. Upload folder. Okay, let's create that constant, and we're going to add something that is the uploads folder. Okay, we don't have that yet, so we will add it in a second. And the load extensions. So I will try in this channel to create applications that you can use, that you can you know, that you can use things that you will need when you are looking for jobs. If you are a freelancer, if you are learning something, okay. So this will allow us to manage or allow extensions. Okay, you will see how we will manage that because we will need to do some things with the file we receive. And okay, we already have our things running. Okay, so let's add now the application. We need to get the Flask. Okay, this shit is fucking with me. Okay, Flask double underscore name double underscore. Okay, and we are going to start our application. Okay, let me move a little bit. If underscore name underscore is equals to underscore main underscore, we're just going to run the application, and we did the book true. Okay, so this should allow us to start our application. Let's save that. Let's go to the to git bash, and let's say flask run. Since we are already on the environment, okay, you can see that everything is working. Yeah, so you will see that this is not that bad. Okay, I will add all first the routes, and we will get to Firebase next. So I will try to keep all that in one video, but it's going to be a little tricky. So now we define the folder, the local uploads. So let's create that. Make sure that we don't forget. Let's create a new folder called uploads. Okay, now that is done, and let's come back here and define a filter for the my, it's like this, right? No, types. Okay, so this filter is going to be a function that's going to check for the allowed extensions. So let's say allowed files. Is that okay? Yeah. So this is going to receive a file name, and we're going to check, or better, we're going to return a dot in file name, and the file name we're going to split yes rs split. Okay, when we find the dot, lower, I will explain in a second what this thing is doing in allowed extensions. So basically we're just going to get the last part of the file and check if it is inside these allow extensions. Okay, that's basically it. So let's save that, and I'm going to skip this because this is configuration. Okay, and I think we're going to test these ones with the how this thing, oh, Postman. Okay, just to make sure. No, I think we're going to check it. We're going to do it a little more dynamic. We're going to create the routes right now, and then we're going to move to Angular, create a basic structure in Angular, and then we're going to connect that and test. Maybe that's the best idea, or maybe not. It depends. So I don't know. This is going to be my first real application. So let's create the routes. After route. So I don't know. Maybe, yeah, let's just test it with a Postman. So we are going to check. Remember that here we define the route, we define the name of the route we are going to handle, and we define the methods. That is going to be an array. Okay, methods, and it's going to we're going to tell them which methods we're going to allow in this route. So here we need to define a function, and let's call it index. Okay, you can call it however you want. Okay, so we're going to check, although as I said on another video, the first method Flask is going to try is get. Okay, so it's going to receive the get, and you can just skip this checking if method is equal to get. But let's just skip this if request method, just to use all we have, is equal to get, then we're going to do something. Okay, so here we're going to call, or let's say we're going to return JSONify. JSONify is you need to add a kind of, I can it doesn't say, right? Just define something here, any name you want. I'm just going to call it data, and then I'm just going to add something that is, well, something. Okay, or let's say posts main response. Okay, so I should handle that. Let's actually test that on Postman. So I think we're going to test everything on Postman just to see if we are getting the responses. Then the next thing is we're going to add Flask with MySQL. So this is going to be the next thing. So let's say Flask MySQL DB. Okay. So yeah, it's this one, right? Yep. We're going to install that in a second. So let's say, okay, it's running, but let me just close this one and start it again. So name app is not defined. Where is that? Let me see what I did wrong. Um, yeah. Let's move that up there so it's defined before we call it. Okay, so now it's defined. And so this one is running on HTTP localhost 5000. We call that API and posts. So this should return. Okay, you can see that this is going to return this JSON object with this data key and this is how it's going to respond with a string. Okay, I think this is, yeah, this is valid JSON. So and whatever we type or we add here. Okay, so that is working. Now let's go to the other one. Let's just define the routes right now we're going to use. App that route. So this one is going to be API, just to test all routes. At post, the methods we're going to use here are methods get, sorry, no, post. So this one is only going to handle post requests. So we're going to check if request that method, as I said before, if you only define one method, that's the only thing it's going to handle. And if you don't define anything as methods, if you remove this one, it's only going to handle get requests. Okay, but let's make it a little more friendly and let's keep everything there. So we're going to also return, let's just handle the returns right now, JSONify with only this. So it's going to be data, just to see that we are handling the requests. Now, you know what? This is not going to help you. Let's start working with MySQL, because this is not going to, just to define that, just with this example, you're going to see how to define the routes. Okay, with app.route, route, the API post, you can handle all that. You should know all that by now, at least you should get an idea. So let's actually move a little faster and install Flask MySQL DB. So remember that we need to install it on the environment, that is Flask MySQL DB, and let's go to the console, paste. So we can already start checking. So it's adding. Let's go back here. Let's check the p file so you can see all the things we have. Let's go back to app.py and let's continue. So Flask run, okay, and now we should be able to import from, let me just get the import, Flask MySQL DB. You can see that it finds the package. We're going to import MySQL. If you hear something, it's because here the neighbors are working on their house. Okay, so if you hear some banging and you know the usual stuff when someone is repairing something, so just to keep that in mind. We already have the MySQL, but we need to do something. I already have my web server running, so we're going to go to HTTP, not well localhost, but phpMyAdmin. So is my username is root, and my password is empty. Let's go. So we need to create another one. You can use whatever you want on the collection. So let's say Flask. What I call that? Flask post stud. Let's say create. Let's create it with the basics, and we will need to add. Yep, a new column. I mean a new column, a new table. We need to add a new table. So you will see how I have it, because I can't remember. It's been a while since I worked with this one. So you can see how it's working. It's getting the ID, the title, the content, the cover, and the cover name that is generated. Okay. So let's get those. So let's say it's going to be 5 name Flask post stud, the same name as the database, just because. Okay, so this one is going to be the ID. It's going to be an integer, and it's going to be where the hell is that thing? Primary. Okay. So the next one is going to be forgot what was that. Let's call it. Okay, give me a second. Give me a second. I have it right here in the code. Okay. Yes, I just want to keep everything. Okay, title 255. It's not going to be an integer but a bar chart, and I think that's it. The next one is the content. Okay. This one is going to be text. I think, well, let's say just 255. And I think that's all. Let's see. The next one is the cover. That is the actual image. That is going to be a bar chart with 255. And the last one is going to be the cover name. That is the actual name of the file. Let's call it bar chart. Let's add a type of bar chart and 255. It is going to. I think this is okay. Just click save. Okay. So we have our keys, and okay, so that is created. And okay, okay, I'm gonna cut that. So we're going to leave it here, and we're going to continue with the next in the next video, since it's getting noisier here. Okay, so we'll see you in the next one.